Hi everyone, it's Katie from Paradise Falls family. In this video we'll be going into a bit more detail on our time in San Diego in August 2023. San Diego was one of the main places on our list that we hadn't been able to visit the previous summer as part of our California road trip, so it was top of our list when arranging a 2-night stopover on our journey to Hawaii. In this video, I'll talk you through what we did in San Diego to give you an idea of how we spent our time as a family, and then later on I'll go through some of the more practical bits and what went into our planning. Our first day began in London at the Marriott Heathrow Windsor Hotel, where we'd stayed overnight ready for our flight that morning. If you've watched our vlogs before, you'll know that this is one of our preferred Heathrow hotels as it offers a really great deal on parking for the duration of your holiday, £286 for the night at a hotel for a family of 4 and 3 weeks worth of parking. And it's only a 10 to 15 minute taxi journey away from the terminals, which you can easily book in the hotel the night before for around £45. The hotel also helpfully has a self-service kiosk to pre-book taxis, which makes it all really easy. Our flight didn't leave until early afternoon, so we enjoyed a relaxed morning, arriving at the airport in plenty of time. We had time for an early lunch at Giraffe in Terminal 5, our restaurant of choice when flying from here, and a bit of shopping, and then enjoyed a really smooth flight out to California with British Airways. San Diego Airport is actually really close to downtown, so it was really easy on landing to just jump in a taxi for around $20 and head straight to our hotel. We'd booked the Wyndham San Diego Bayside on Expedia for £412, which worked out at just over $500 for 2 nights. We picked this hotel for its location, right on the bay and handy for the sightseeing we had planned. Quite a few sites were within walking distance or a short taxi ride away, so it looked perfect for our short stay. While the location was great, we really weren't impressed with this hotel. I don't want to be too negative in this vlog, but to give you an honest account of our experience, we found the following issues. Upon checking in, we were told that the room type we'd booked and paid for wasn't available, as the hotel was full, so we were given a city view instead of a sea view. Not great, but we could live with that. The room we were then given was already occupied, which resulted in a really embarrassing and disturbing situation for everyone, as the key we were given meant instead of going straight into a nice, clean and empty room, we actually barged into the room straight into another family who were in that room just chilling. We were then given another room, but it just wasn't clean. We found a half-eaten apple on the floor, a half-drunk bottle of water, a crisp packet, sand on the surfaces, and the windows were absolutely filthy. In a normal situation, we would have gone back to the front desk again and asked to move, but we honestly didn't think it would get us anywhere better, and we were all exhausted after a really long day, as it was 4 AM in UK time at this point. Greg and I cleaned the room best we could, and we decided just to settle in it for just 2 nights, and we got some sleep. We did later complain about the situation, and we were given a refund for one of the nights, and the staff on the front desk were very nice, but we just would not recommend this hotel at all. It really wasn't the relaxing start to the trip that we'd hoped for. The next morning, we set out to enjoy San Diego. We were also returning to San Diego for another 2 nights later in the trip on our way back from Hawaii, so we'd planned our time accounting for both visits. Our second visit ultimately didn't happen because of Hurricane Hilary. You can see more details about this in our Hawaii planning vlog, but we were intending to spend our time at the end of the holiday visiting San Diego Zoo and Balboa Park with dinner in the Gaslamp Quarter, 3 of the main tourist spots in the city. With those earmarked for our second visit, we decided to split our first day between Coronado Island and Belmont Park at Mission Beach, which we thought would be a more relaxing way to spend our first day while we were still adjusting to the time difference. Coronado Island is actually a peninsula just across the bay from the city, and is easy to reach by road or ferry. We decided, as we were up incredibly early because of the jet lag, to get an Uber out there first thing, and return by ferry later. Belmont Park is a little further up the coast by some of the top beaches, so we then planned to get an Uber there and back later in the day. We were all awake at around 3 AM because of the jet lag, so we had a few hours relaxing and getting ready before getting an Uber at about 6 AM for $16 including tip, which took us over the famous Coronado Bridge. Coronado Island is home to a lot of American military sites, including the Naval Amphibious Base where the Navy SEALs train and the Naval Air Station. However, nestled in between these is the lovely little town of Coronado, some amazing beaches and the iconic Hotel Del Coronado, which was our first stop for the day. The Hotel Del is one of the oldest wooden structures remaining in the US and was one of the first resort hotels of its kind. Over the years, it's hosted numerous US presidents, celebrities and even royalty, and was famously where Marilyn Monroe shot Some Like It Hot. It also served as the inspiration for the Grand Floridian Resort at Walt Disney World, one of our favourite hotels. We did consider staying here for the trip and it's on our bucket list, but we just couldn't justify the cost with this Hawaii trip being really expensive already. Given we couldn't stay here, we thought we'd spend the morning exploring the grounds and relaxing on the beach. We were of course here really early, so it was still really quiet with a lot of things still shut. But we had a nice walk on the beach and enjoyed breakfast at the NO Market while the sun slowly came up. The grounds of the hotel are simply wonderful and we had a little walk around taking it all in. Our particular favourite was the beautiful lobby, which was fascinating, and you can even do a guided audio tour if you want for an extra fee. By now it had warmed up a little, so we all headed down to the beach to relax and play. The beach was lovely. Nice soft sand, not too crowded and great waves for the kids to play in. We'd only intended to have around an hour here, but 3 hours later we were still there having an absolutely lovely morning and the kids having a blast. We even saw what we assume were Navy SEALs swimming and training out in the sea, and fighter jets taking off from the nearby base and flying overhead, which was quite an experience. By around 10:30 we were starting to get hungry again, so we thought we'd better move on to find an early lunch. We'd briefly had a look at the options at the hotel, including the sun deck overlooking the beach and Sundays at the Del, which looked to be a great stop for treats, but we decided instead to venture into town. However, not before wandering back through the hotel to browse the shops and stop in at the Ice House Museum, which was a lovely little on-site museum that you can visit for free and learn about the history of this wonderful hotel. We even had a little walk-through tour from Betty, who was an employee working in the museum, and she really helped bring everything to life. All of the staff here we encountered were fantastic. The service at this hotel seems brilliant. Back outside, it's just a 5 to 10 minute walk from the hotel into town, up Orange Avenue, which is the main street running through the heart of the town. The town itself is lovely, with loads of dining options and shops. We decided to have a cheap and quick lunch at Panera Bread as we were wilting in the sun by now and needed to re-energise. The food and aircon did the trick, and pepped up we wandered Orange Avenue, doing a bit of shopping in the wonderful kids store Geppetto's and Fuzzywigs Candy Factory that the kids loved as well. Sitting just behind the main street is Star Park Circle, which also has the former home of Frank Baum, who wrote The Wizard of Oz here, and he reportedly based Emerald City on the Hotel Del. The house has a couple of fun little nods to the book and was a nice little stop to check out, but it is just a residential house, so not worth going out of your way for. We slowly made our way back up Orange Avenue and headed towards the ferry landing around 20 minutes away. We did plan to jump on the shuttle, which we'd read runs up and down Orange Avenue between the ferry landing and the beach, but we didn't spot it, so we just enjoyed a slow walk with a stop at Spreckles Park and the kids' playground. The ferry landing itself has a variety of shops and restaurants and is a nice little spot to spend some time. Tickets for the ferry can be purchased on the pier or online. We quickly scanned the QR code and bought them on our phone while waiting for the ferry to dock. We timed it perfectly and enjoyed the short cruise back across the bay, taking in the city views and loving the breeze. The ferry departed once an hour on the half hour, running from 9:30 AM to 10:30 PM. Coming back the other way from the city, there are departures from Broadway Pier or the Convention Centre at similar regular intervals, but make sure to check the current timetable online. Tickets for the 4 of us came to around $34, so more expensive than an Uber, but the extra $15 or so was worth it to us to enjoy the cruise across the bay. We docked at Broadway Pier, right next to the USS Midway, and jumped in an Uber to take us north to Belmont Park at Mission Beach, coming to around $25. Our plan had been to spend some time at the beach here, and then some time at Belmont Park. However, as we'd enjoyed a bit more time at Coronado than we intended, we gave the beach a miss and went straight over to Belmont Park. Belmont was on our list primarily because it looked similar to Santa Monica that we visited the previous summer and really enjoyed. We knew it was something that the kids would have a blast at, so we wanted to make the trip out here. It was really similar to Santa Monica, just without a pier. It was a fun seaside park with a few rides and arcades and all that fun tacky stuff. There's even a zip line, but we didn't give that a try this time. We spent an hour or two enjoying the arcades, attractions and having some treats. For the rides, you can buy an all-inclusive pass if you'll make the use of it. Alternatively, you can buy token packages online. These come in set amount, which didn't always correspond to the cost of the rides themselves, so we didn't buy any of those on this occasion, as there was only one ride the kids actually wanted to try. Regardless, we had a great time, and after a couple of hours we caught an Uber back to the city and the hotel. We were pretty exhausted by now. It had been a really busy day and the jet lag was starting to kick in, so we grabbed dinner at the Clam Jupiter restaurant attached to our hotel. It had all the usual burgers and fries etc, so it was nice and easy, and we were all able to get a meal for around $80 in total, so pretty reasonable. And with that we called it a day and got an early night as we needed to be up really early the next day for our flight to Honolulu. So that covers our short time in San Diego. We had a brilliant first day of our trip and it's a wonderful place to visit. As I've mentioned, we were supposed to return at the end of our Hawaii trip for another 2 nights, but we had to change our plans due to Hurricane Hilary. Our plan was to stay at the Best Western Plus Bayside Inn, which was again really handy for exploring downtown San Diego. Our plan for our time then was to get an Uber to San Diego Zoo and spend the day there, with maybe an hour or two towards the end of the day in Balboa Park where the zoo is located, with dinner back in the city in the Gaslamp Quarter, a great area for dining and shopping. There was also a baseball game that evening at Petco Park in downtown San Diego, so if we had enough energy we might have looked into getting some really last minute tickets. The next day we had around half a day to explore before our flight, so our plan was to do the USS Midway followed by Seaport Village for lunch, which is a great little shopping and dining area that Greg and I enjoyed on our last visit here almost 15 years ago. We'll have to save all of this for next time. San Diego Zoo in particular is somewhere we really want to bring the kids, so hopefully we'll get the chance to come back soon. Now moving on to some of our planning tips for San Diego. First of all, how did we decide to spend our time? As I mentioned, Greg and I had been to San Diego before, so we'd seen a lot of the main sites including the zoo, the Gaslamp Quarter and the Old Town already. There was plenty we didn't get to see though, as it was a fly-in visit. It was also interrupted by the bird flu scare at the time, so we were excited to spend some more time here with the kids. For this trip, we wanted to see some of the things we hadn't time for last time, while also showing the kids the best of the city, with some beach time for us all to chill, given the beaches in San Diego are some of the best in the country. These are mainly located up the coast near Belmont Park, where you've got Mission Beach, Pacific Beach and Ocean Beach, all of which sound amazing. With only limited time, we went for Mission Beach because we wanted to visit Belmont Park, but any of these I think would have been brilliant. Up in this area, you've also got SeaWorld, which we really considered as we know the kids would have loved it here, but with only so much time, we went for the zoo instead, given that we visited SeaWorld in Orlando several times. Almost next to SeaWorld, you've got the Old Town San Diego State Historic Park. This is somewhere Greg and I really enjoyed on our last visit, but we thought the kids wouldn't get much out of it at their ages, so we crossed it off the list this time. Slightly further afield, you've got La Jolla, which would have been a lovely stop if we had more time. In particular, La Jolla Cove, which often has seals and sea lions, as well as rock pools and a beach to play on. There's also Legoland and San Diego Zoo Safari Park, so there's tons here for families to enjoy. One final spot I haven't mentioned yet is Point Loma, which is basically the area of land which juts out into the bay around Coronado Island. At the end here is Cabrillo National Monument, with a lighthouse, visitor centre and amazing views of the area, among other things. This was somewhere we'd hoped to stop by, but ultimately just didn't have the time, so had to cross off our list. In terms of getting around San Diego, we initially had a car booked with Alamo for around £300 or $370. We'd have needed an SUV to carry all our luggage to and from the airport, so it wasn't particularly cheap. We worked out it would be much cheaper to just use Ubers instead for the few journeys we needed to make, so we ultimately decided against renting a car and cancelled our booking. The total cost of all the taxis, Ubers and the ferry that we used in the end instead of a car came to around $160, so quite a saving, and still gave us sufficient flexibility to get around as we wanted. And finally, costs. As I mentioned, our main cost was our hotel, which was around $500 for the 2 nights, plus around $160 in travel costs around the city and to and from the airport. In terms of food, we spent around $70 on breakfast, $60 on lunch and $80 on dinner, so a little pricey, but we probably ate more being up so early due to the jet lag. We spent around $50 at Belmont Park on the arcades, attractions and treats, and then a little extra on treats and souvenirs in Coronado. We usually budget around £200 or $250 a day for spending money, excluding hotels and travel costs, while we're away, so this was a little over budget, but not too bad and worth it for the day we all enjoyed. So that's our trip to San Diego. We hope this was useful for planning your trip, and if you've got any questions or any other tips, then please let me know in the comments below. We'll be adding more vlogs covering the rest of our Hawaii trip in the coming weeks and months, so make sure to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more from us and to support the channel. Thank you all so much for watching.